Think of it as a diagnostic where you come together as a group and say, okay, out of these 5 mindsets, where are we doing very good versus where do we need, more work, or, oh, we didn't even realize this aspect is important.
I can already see how they connect with each other, right? So if you want to leverage your inclusion and diversity better, then you need to have representation in the conversations where you're talking about the consumer centricity. And if you want growth, then you need to integrate what the consumer is looking for into those conversations about where are the opportunities. So do all of your mindsets feed each other?
That's why it's a framework, right? It's a holistic framework to make sure that you're not just working on 1 or 2 of these aspects, but working on all 5. And then that's really, really key. Yeah, we hire diverse people. We're not really leveraging and kind of making them work together, right? So making sure that each innovation project has an inclusion representation, and making sure that they're open to voice their opinions and things like that. So I think it's really an opportunity for our companies to say where they can improve and what initiatives should they start to help people kind of fulfill those gaps.
We present you the 5 mindsets that can help you bring change and enhance your abilities to catalyze innovation.
So this isn't just process improvement. This is, so that, and that's why the language of mindsets as opposed to initiatives that it's, say more about that.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, so there are 5 mindsets: operational, purpose-driven, inclusive, growth, and user-centric. I would say what you're talking about fits into the operations mindset. So in that, we talk about 4 aspects to keep track on. One is process, having key metrics, risk management, resource allocation. These are the 4 main aspects that are really important as part of the operation mindset. And the funny thing is that organizations that are most operationally savvy otherwise, and they've survived hundreds of years, they forget to use that savviness in their own innovation efforts.
Why is that? Why do you think that is?
Because innovation has this myth around it that it is experimentation, exploration, they need no boundaries, and they can do it. There's lack of accountability, and I haven't seen proper metrics developed around innovation. I mean, there are like in terms of input metrics and output metrics, and you can say like, so there are some frameworks that can be used, but you can not easily measure that. So on that pretext, sometimes people are just not accountable, and they need that space. And also there's a right balance that we need to achieve to make sure.
Yeah, it's almost like you hear both sides, right? Like you don't want to stifle innovation by putting too many constraints on it, but then you also hear sometimes that it is through providing constraints that you actually force innovation to happen.
Yes. Another mindset is purpose-driven. And we talked a little bit about your football analogy and, making sure people are aligned. So a few things that come within that is motivation, employee motivation. Not only that, autonomy. We talked about permission and giving them the permission to take risks, calculated risks, and all of that. And then also, it's really important to have a common set of beliefs that you can use in day to day to prioritize your decisions about things. So Herman Miller is a great example. They had these 10 design tenets, and every day, whatever decisions because it's about prioritization, you always put those values and remind yourselves of those values while making those decisions. And that helps. And if we imagine everyone in the company uses that same framework to make decisions, then it's easier to bring alignment.
Yeah. And it's easier to get speed because you're not constantly going and asking, what do I do? What do I do?
Another one, which is one of my favorites, and I think it's the most challenging sometimes in organizations, is where we talk about inclusive mindset. And there's a great quote actually by Andres Tapia. She says, diversity is the mix, but inclusion is making the mix work. And I think 5 years ago or so, all the organizations were like, oh, DEI, and it's so important, and diversity is such a big thing. They invested to make sure they have diversity representation,
Right.
but they did not invest in trying to make sure that they're making it work and leveraging that inclusion to enhance their output or outcome or, of the organization. So one of the things, aspects that are important in this is networks, creating the right networks where you can bring cross-disciplinary people together, getting people to take a more participatory approach, bringing the right people in the right places in the conversations, and doing those strategic conversations becomes really important.
Right. So all of this originated in your work on innovation effectiveness. So obviously user-centric is one of these mindsets, correct?
Yes. Yeah. So user-centric, I think, I would say, I think 10 years, 20 years ago, when actually organizations started getting into this idea that you cannot just outsource your innovation to one design agency and let them do it. The transaction cost of that was too high. And they said, they have to continually innovate. They started first thing they did is to bring user centricity into their organization. And they realized that the customer's expectations are changing very quickly. So their actions have to respond to that constantly changing customer expectations. So that's one thing they invested in first. And I think if we go out and see the organizations, I think the two mindsets that they talk about a lot is user-centric and growth mindset.
Oh, growth. That's like every organization in the world has a growth mindset, right?
Right. But, hiring a chief growth officer doesn't make you strong in this mindset. I think it's a growth. You have to think of growth as a cultural change, right? Which means, you should be okay with trial and error. You should be able to celebrate failures. You should employ learning, promoting learning from every action you do, making sure you can leverage your archives and knowledge you'd created in the 70s or 90s so that you don't make the same mistakes now, right? You have to have foresight to really look at the future rather than just being reactive to quarterly returns. So it's something that you have to instill in the organization throughout in each individual rather than just having a growth strategy that these are the products we're going to grow, these are the markets we're going to grow in. That's not enough.
Please visit khojlab.com/workshop for more information.